So Monopoly has made a lot of parody games. They made Monopoly for socialism, and then they made Monopoly for millennials. Now we have Monopoly for feminists. For every feminist dream, Miss Monopoly. Of course, if you don't know, Monopoly has made a bunch of parody games. Monopoly for millennials, which came out like 6 months ago. Um, a month ago came out with the came out with Monopoly for socialism. And they were complaining. They were complaining about this Monopoly for socialism, which was making fun of socialism, which socialism never works, especially communism. Then we have Monopoly for millennials. They got angry at this. They also got angry at this too. Monopoly for millennials, which is basically making fun of the PC culture. Um, I can't believe for Monopoly for social justice warriors. Oh wait, so this is Monopoly for SJWs. So now we have Miss Monopoly, Monopoly that Brie Larson plays. Yes, the Monopoly that Brie Larson and feminists all play. This is an important stepping stone. In Monopoly. Yeah, a very important stepping stone. They made a feminist Monopoly. I actually think this is now one of the joke ones that they made, making fun of how wrong really feminism is, because people should be paid equally, and basically Miss Monopoly or Feminist Monopoly, or I was thinking that they're eventually gonna make a Feminist Monopoly, since they make one making fun of SAWs and socialists. Now let's make a Monopoly making fun of feminists. And you know what the funny thing is? They're celebrating. They're celebrating, saying how this is so great and how this is so empowering. Yet they don't realize this is a game making fun of feminism. It's just like Monopoly for socialists. It's a game basically exposing the kind of unfairness of how feminists work. And this is basically how feminists view society. They think that they deserve more money than everybody else by doing nothing. Like egos, those people who do practically nothing, like they sit there and they only get money because they work good, and give them money on Patreon just because they're good looking. Those people. The funny thing is the world is celebrating. It is a feminist game, and they'll of course celebrate. But if it was a pro-male game, of course they'll be angry. If it was Mr. Monopoly, um, they would be angry. They'll of course be angry. Um, Basically, the new game. Nobody plays board games anymore besides like old people. That's the truth, because you can play games on the computer. If you have a computer, you can play games for like. Even then, you can play games for free. Okay, even like browser games, you can play those for free. You can buy games on the computer. You can buy games on the console. Buy games on your phone. Nobody really plays board game anymore. Besides like old people, board games are like going the way of cable. Mostly older people use cable. Um, oh yeah, and then Monopoly. I'm surprised they all got angry if it was Monopoly for feminists. If it was called specifically Monopoly for feminists, because that's what this big game basically is. It's Monopoly for feminists, because that's how feminists play Monopoly. Most people play Monopoly normally. Okay, normal Monopoly. Nobody plays the feminist Monopoly. This is something that like Brie Larson's play. I remember Brie Larson would probably say how great this game is, because she's a feminist, and most celebrities are feminists. They believe in the stupid 40-cent wage gap, which is really debunked many, many, many times. The wage gap has been debunked. Um, that sort of sparked no terrible hot takes whatsoever. Unveiled Miss Monopoly, which is a celebration of women entrepreneurs and inventors. And females players start to get more money than men. Feminism in a nutshell, and correct more when passing go. Funko declared that the first game will women make more money more than men. You mean I'm surprised there wasn't no feminist game where you if it were if it was game so they are basically making about well women have advantage often enjoyed by men that kind of things and of course Miss Monopoly they could invest go into videos promote video investors heartwarming videos sparked plenty of angry cries after they make Monopoly for socialism and of course Monopoly for millennials. I'm trying. If they made Monopoly for feminism, they'll have been angry. If they called it Monopoly for feminists and it was basically making fun of feminists, they would have gotten angry. They would have been, why are now you're being sexist? I can't wait for Monopoly for dictators and Monopoly for communism, because you can't. They're kind of like running out of ideas for new Monopoly games. Uh, but here's the thing. Nobody is really going to care about this. Maybe besides Brie Larson and other feminists, they're the ones who will probably go out and buy us as droves because they have to have feminist garbage. The thing is, no, it's based off a game that nobody plays anymore, and really nobody plays board games anymore. Mostly like old people play board games, and the only time people really play board games is usually when like the power goes out because you can't really play electronics and board games are the only options. Um, or you can just continue saying that, or do nothing and wait until the guy has put the power back on. Really, board games and card games are kind of already dying. I have said that people just don't really play board games anymore. Besides like old people, because they play board games all the time. Old people because they do not really care about technology because the old people they're different than us younger people, younger folks. Or even then, and yeah, like they grew up with most like Monopoly and stuff because they didn't really have anything else to do. So of course they could continue to play Monopoly. So stuff like Monopoly, and of course the only real people who really play, and another big group of people who play board games are schools because schools have such a vendetta against video games. Especially considering how schools, I think the older generations, over 60, and schools are the really ones really keeping board games alive, because you don't really play video games at school, okay? The only games that are probably played are like Just Dance, anything that has any remote elements of violence like Super Mario Brothers, Super Smash Brothers, you can't play that in school. You can't. The teachers won't. The principal won't allow you to play that in school. Like especially when you have game day with the kids, when there's nothing else to do. You always have to play a board game or card game because those are inoffensive. You can't really be. Of course, a person might get angry or they lose, but that's with any game. But and basically, those are the only groups of people who really play board games. Um, then there's of course, do people still play board games? Yes, the schools. I think as long as schools continue to play board games, board games will never die. Okay, they're dying among the and people's free time. Yes, they are dying. Card games won't die out. Card games are much more simple. You don't have to set up a board or anything. Um, but the thing is, to schools are going to keep board games alive. Okay, schools keep them alive. That's just the fact here. Schools are going to keep them alive, and that will basically be it. That's what I forgot that in school you play. And of course, there are other reasons to have board games. Okay, if your power goes out, and especially if it's out more than a day, you're going to have something to do besides play video games and watch TV because you have no power. And that's kind of what especially if you live in like Florida or something, or if you like. But I think the real thing is keeping them alive are schools and stuff. Schools are going to keep board games alive. Okay, you're not gonna see schools playing video games other than Just Dance anytime soon. Okay, you're not gonna have play time in second grade and first grade or whatever grade it is, younger grades. Well, we're good. Or when there's no work and there's nothing else to do. You're not gonna go out and play Halo or Call of Duty or Pokemon or any other thing. Okay, but most people don't really play board games. Card games, that's different because there is Vegas, there is gambling, sadly, in this world, and card games are played mostly among adults. And it's really mostly older people who play board games. Okay, like Monopoly. Younger people still play, but most younger people play video games. Okay, that's just the fact of life. Most younger people play video games. So Miss Monopoly, no, but I don't care. I'm not gonna get it. I don't care about board games. Okay, I will just play video games instead. Okay, this is just the younger audience in general. Most of us do not play board games at all. Most people play video games now. And watch, and we're kind of most of the younger generation are kind of moving away from physical media in general. Let's look at the Blu-ray sales year by year. It's because the younger generation, even though they grew up on Blu-rays and stuff, found out the convenience of Netflix and streaming and stuff. And of course, there will always be a niche for physical movies, because there are a ton of collectors out there, and the and a ton and collectors will, of course, kind of like how schools are keeping board games alive. Collectors are going to keep Blu-rays alive. Collectors, which there are millions of people thousands and thousands of people who collect Blu-rays. Especially go out and get limited edition Blu-rays of older movies and DVDs. Limited edition Blu-rays and DVDs and limited of like older movies. So board games are now technically dying out, but school will kind of keep board games alive. Okay, schools are probably the biggest purchaser of board games. Schools, because schools hate video games. They hate phones. That's why they always try to take your phone away. If you take it out, schools hate technology. Okay. Well, even then, okay, even then, most schools, that's why they play computer games. I actually don't think, and I think in 100 years, most people will just be playing games. But of course, if you want for something to be before the class be involved, of course, that's why schools are keeping board games, gonna keep board games alive probably indefinitely until so all the students can have something to interact with each other. Because and actually, kind of physical things are dying. Okay, okay, I'm done talking about physical media. It has been going on for so long. And goodbye.